Will. I'm with the Alaska Airmen's Association. We are here at the Palmer Airport, and behind me is a beautiful DC-3 aircraft. If you've not seen one of these, take a look. These are spectacular. So I want to take you, we're just going to walk this way, take a look at the airplane, and I want to introduce you to the crew. So follow me.
It is.
Okay, everybody, I just want to take a second to introduce you. So we have Nico, one of our pilots, and TJ, who's on the right there. So they're going to walk us through the aircraft here in a second, but before we do that, I just want to talk about our ticket sales. This is Aviation, our executive director, and she can tell you a little about it.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody, we're here, of course, because you can win a ride in this incredible airplane, which I can't believe. I think what a cool opportunity. So I want to remind everybody how to buy tickets. You can call us at the Airman's office, 907-245-1251. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Alaska time. We have operators standing by. We'll take your call. We'll sell you tickets. You can get one ticket for $65. You can get 5 tickets for $300 or 10 for $550. So don't be afraid to go big. And of course, you get a chance to win that beautiful Compartment FX3. That's our grand prize. We'll have an update on that from Washington in about 2 weeks, so looking forward to that. But a ton of other great prizes. You can win 2 round-trip tickets anywhere Alaska Airlines flies. You can win a beautiful set of Alaskan bush wheels for your airplane. You can win an amazing avionics package from Northern Lights Avionics. Lots of great stuff. So check out our website, alaskaairmen.org, to see all of that prize information and buy tickets. Oh, I always forget, there's kiosks. You can buy kiosks.
Yep.
There are ticket kiosks throughout the local area. There's one at Aircraft Spruce in Wasilla. There is a ticket kiosk at Northern Lights Avionics at Merrill Field. And there is a ticket kiosk at East Ramp Pizza in Fairbanks. So if you are in the neighborhood of any of those fine establishments, please stop in and buy a ticket there as well.
Great.
So now back to the stars of the show.
Yeah,
Golden
so
Era
speaking
here.
of raffle prizes, this is one we're really excited about. So in front of you here, we've got the DC-3. I'm going to ask you guys in just a second to talk about it. But one of our most exciting raffle prizes is a ride in one of these aircraft. So these guys are with Golden Era Aviation. Can you talk a little bit about what you do?
Sure. You want to step on the
Where's
airplane?
more?
let's stop
Yes,
there.
let's go.
Let's get
Where's more?
inside.
Get
Where all the action happens.
That's already so cool.
I know,
I'm
that's
dazzled
cool.
already.
All right, let's check it out.
What year was this? 1942. Yeah, take a look around, everybody. This is in excellent condition. 42, wow. So, can you tell us a little bit about the plane itself while we're here?
Sure, go ahead, Nico.
Sure, yeah. This airplane is built in 1942 for the U.S. Army Air Corps, and saw service in the World War II, but only within the United States, so it never went international. Then Continental Airlines bought it, and then Southern Airways, and then it just went to some private hands. And then in the 80s it got restored by a museum in Illinois, and the restoration was sponsored by Ozark Airlines, which at the time was celebrating its 35th anniversary. And then the airplane was in the museum for about, I don't know, maybe 25 years I guess, and a private individual bought it, and it ended up in the Florida Keys, where we picked it up, and we flew it to Alaska.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you make that flight?
The first flight up, the flight from the Florida Keys was up in 2017.
2017, and you're
Yeah.
starting this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's really exciting.
Yeah, this will be the first full year of it. Yep.
First full year. Okay, so this to give you an idea, Golden Era Aviation, they are doing tours locally, glacial tours. You can be in this aircraft, in the one that's back behind us. We'll see on the way out, flying over the Knik, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. We'll be our tours will be focused here locally this year. We'll be doing our service will be out towards Knik, Lake George, up through the Chugach High Country, down the Matanuska Valley, and up through the Talkeetnas here in the area.
Yep. So, for those of you who are watching, what would it cost if they want to participate if they aren't lucky enough to win the free trip?
Yeah, so given we're doing 2 tours offering 2 sets of tours. We'll be doing 30-minute tours and full service hour tours. And the 30-minute tours are $249 a
That's
seat.
right. Yep.
And the hour tours are $479.
Yep. That's correct.
When you say a full service flight, what does that mean?
So what that flight will entail, we'll have a stewardess on board dressed in the 1940s attire, champagne service, wine service, food service. All of that's included, just as you would have been flying back in the first class service that you would have received back in the early days of flying.
Yeah.
So okay, so for the raffle itself, the prize itself, what is that going to look like? Do you have a vision for that?
We do.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you get the whole plane for an hour.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty awesome. And you can bring all your friends, we'll have 18 seats, and it's going to be pretty incredible.
Yep. So you'll get that full service for an hour.
Okay.
You'll have the in-flight service, the complimentary champagne, and we'll be doing that full service hour tour here, and you'll have a choice of whoever you want to bring on board. Fill the airplane up.
Fill the
I would
airplane
just
up?
like to say to the winner, I make a great friend. If I could get on that list, that'd be great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, can we take a look around?
Absolutely.
Head up front.
Check out the cockpit. Yep.
Yeah, we'll walk it this way. I'll follow you guys.
Yeah. Why does it jump in the seat?
All right, why don't you guys follow 2 captains here? Ooh, there's tight quarters in there. Abby, that's your seat. Maybe that's
Oh,
my seat.
right. Great.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
So is this a difficult aircraft to fly?
Well, she's pretty docile. The hardest part about these old airplanes are the engines. You got to be really careful with treating these engines right, else they'll, they have a tendency to not like you. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're flying the engine more in this airplane than you're flying the airplane. It's a nice docile airplane to fly. I think it's harder to handle on the ground than it is in the air.
Yeah. Kind of like a big cub.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the tail wheel, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is it prone to crosswinds?
She does well. You can use split power. You run one engine higher than the other, and you just straighten her out, and she does really well, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit of an advantage having a locking tail wheel, so
that is nice.
that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And have you guys both flown DC-3s for a long time?
Yeah, I would say so. A few years now.
Yeah. We've been up here, definitely involved in flying a lot of the vintage radios up here in Alaska for quite some time now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you had experience taking them off of airports, or you mostly been on the airport?
Yeah. Actually, I fly for Desert Air Alaska. I fly DC-3s doing cargo service. It's still at this time.
Yeah, we used to take the Super DC-3 for Trans-Northern. We used to take it off the beaches down by Yakutat in that area.
Wow.
Yep, down by the Sayou River.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, that's wild. Okay, everybody, if you're listening right now, if you have questions, throw them out here. We've got Alyssa. She's helping us out on the cameras. She's watching for your comments. If you have anything you want to ask, now is the time. This is an awesome airplane. We're inside it right now, which is a pretty exclusive opportunity for you if you have those questions. So pipe up.
Let us know what you want to see, if there's anything, while we're in here. Look at that great view we've got.
Yeah. I kick it out this way.
I've got a couple of questions. How does one get started flying a DC-3? How do you even fall into that kind of career?
I think you had to have a love for it because it takes a lot of work. A lot of people start as mechanics and work their way up, and and if you're at the right spot at the right time, that usually really helps. If they need a co-pilot and they have an open seat, if you have a commercial pilot's license with a multi-engine certificate, you fill the slot and you can jump in.
Yeah, being in Alaska helps. I mean, anybody who's up here flying in Alaska knows that we've got a pretty good collection of old radial engine airplanes here, more than most places that you'll find in in North America.
Yeah.
So yeah, just being here and be willing to be around and take the time to learn what it's all about with these old airplanes.
Could you make a guess how many flying DC-3s are in Alaska?
No, we can tell you
we can
exactly.
tell you.
You've flown them all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 5.
There's 5.
Yep.
5.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Great. So you guys are the Alaska DC-3 guys.
Well, there's certainly other guys participating, but
Desert Air is on the cargo side. They
Yes.
have the most DC-3s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they fly like TJ said. They fly all over Alaska. And if you need cargo hauled, I mean, they can pretty much bring you anything you need.
Yeah. It's a small community of us up here doing this with DC-3s. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody works together. And that's what it takes to keep these things in the air. There's less and less people every day that have experience flying them, and even more having experience maintaining them. And as time goes on, that's less and less. So it takes that tight knit group of individuals who are passionate about it, that really want to keep these things going up here. And that was a large part of our initiative to start this company, was being able to continue to share that with as many people as possible.
Wow.
It's been a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys do the maintenance yourselves. You are the mechanics as well as the pilots.
We wear all the hats.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yep. The other hats are a lot greasier than this.
And we've got a couple questions here. So the first question is, where is this DC-3 based at?
It's right here in Palmer. Yep. Yep.
Palmer, Alaska.
Yep. Both of the DC-3s for Golden Era are based right here in Palmer.
And in case some of our viewers aren't aware, Palmer is about 45 minutes north of Anchorage in the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. So it's in civilization.
It is. Yep. It's right off the highway, but conveniently tucked right here amongst the the Talkeetnas and the Chugach. They kind of converge on the two glacial valleys here, and it makes a beautiful place for a scenic flight tour. You're on the tour before you leave the ground.
And what is the max takeoff weight?
Depends which one you have. It's either 26,900 or 25.2. This one we're in right now, 763 Alpha, was a C-53, which was a straight passenger airplane, and has a light floor in it. The other one, November 4 and Mike Foxtrot, it was a freighter, so it has a higher gross weight for takeoff.
Sweet.
And that has to do with the landing gear and some other things.
What kind of short takeoff performance does an airplane like this have, if any? Or is it a runway hog?
No, she's not at all. I mean, 3,000 feet is plenty. You can, that's all you really need.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
So she does great. I mean, she's been around for 80 years, so it says something about the airplane.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Another, just another attribute to the airplane that still lends itself to service here in Alaska. Not exactly, we'll be operating in and out of Palmer, but definitely on the cargo side, having the shorter runway capabilities and all the unimproved rural airports that we have here still gives it a place that it has a purpose.
Could you zoom in on some of the controls there, Alyssa? Maybe you guys could point out some things, that we're not used to seeing in our Cessnas, and tell us what we're looking at here.
It's pretty much similar,
It is, yeah. It's not very complicated.
You've got your propeller levers here, which are, adjust the RPM of the engine. You got your throttles right here, just like in your Cessna. You have the mixture control, so everything is basically the same. It is an older airplane, so in the new, more modern airplanes, the throttle's on the left and the props are in the middle, but this is still the original setup. And we've got one trim wheel on the captain's side. We've got our firewall shutoffs. We've got our fuel selectors. The airplane has 4 tanks, 2 on each engine, but every engine can, draw fuel from any tank. You've got here. You got the engine gauges. You got your RPM gauge, your manifold pressure gauge, oil pressure, fuel pressure. It's pretty straightforward, and
Obviously the avionics were pulled out for storage, but one of the differences that you'll have on this airplane that you wouldn't have on a Cessna is your mixture controls. There's pressure carburetors on these engines, and instead of having manual mixture controls, you have different settings on the mixture, and then the carburetor meters the fuel and based on atmospheric conditions. So you set for takeoff or climb power, cruise power, or idle cutoff, and the carburetor does the rest.
Yep.
What are the engines you've got on here?
So this airplane has the more common engine that you'd see that was run on DC-3s, and that's a Pratt & Whitney R1830s.
Okay.
Yep, twin rows. Yep, 2 rows of 7 cylinders.
Okay.
And that was the more common engine that was ran on the airplanes. And November 400 Mike Foxtrot has got Curtiss Wright R1820s, and that's a single row of 9 cylinders.
Okay. All right. So on these here, what kind of oil capacity are we talking?
So 29 gallons a side
Yeah.
is you're toting around a drum of oil whenever you leave.
And they burn a little bit of oil, not too bad,
Yeah. On average, they'll always burn a little bit. So you'll be going through, if the engine's a good tight engine, about a half a gallon of oil per hour per engine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's substantial. What about fuel? How much fuel you're burning?
100 gallons an hour total. So 50 a side on it.
That's a good rule of thumb.
That's low lead, right? 100
Yeah,
Yes.
100 low lead.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Wow, that's impressive. Do you have another question?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. During the tour, I think is what we're asking here.
Or if you decide to
Or you
book
decide
with
to
you
book,
guys.
yeah.
Sure.
Are they allowed to see the cockpit while you're in flight?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, the cockpit door is always open, and yeah, once we're in cruise, people can get up and move around the airplane and stick that in the cockpit, and we'll have an extra headset available, and they can talk to us. So.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, give us more questions if you have them. This is your chance for sure. While we're waiting for those, why don't we
step back?
I'm curious here. What are we looking at?
That's the hydraulic compartment.
Okay.
And the big cylinder, the round cylinder you see is your hydraulic reservoir, and then the spherical looking thing is your accumulator. So basically, when the hydraulics get pressurized, the accumulator has a little rubber diaphragm, and there's nitrogen on the other side, and it will fill it with under pressure with hydraulic fluid, and so even if the engines are shut off, you can still actuate the systems, just because the nitrogen is compressed on the other side of this rubber diaphragm.
Is that temporary?
You can pump it up. We could pump it up right now. We've got a hand pump right here.
Yep.
That's our emergency hand pump. We could pump it up with that. We've got the gear lever right here, and the flaps.
And one thing that this airplane has in it, when they did the restoration right behind you there, is all of the old radios.
Yes.
It's the old radio stack that no longer is utilized. All of that whole compartment there is now conveniently compact down into 2 little boxes.
Yeah. So if you wanted to, could you use these?
I mean, I think that would probably need some serious going through.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And, given the right person, maybe an old radio guy. If you found an old radio guy that looked like Father Time, probably would know what was going on back there. But no, at this point in time, they're just there as a static display in the airplane, just to kind of show you what was involved with the communications and navigation back then.
So if we walked back in time, 1940, let's say 46, is somebody working these while you're flying the airplane?
Some of the military airplanes had a navigator, but the radios were just. If you look back into the cockpit, you have the radio control heads here. They left the airplane in its original configuration in the restoration, so all of these would tune your radios, and then the wires would go back to the radio rack that you just saw, and that's how you would transmit. So to answer your question, the pilots would be the ones running the radios, and it's pretty modern for the time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Where would the navigator be? Is that
the navigator would basically sit where they wouldn't have the car compartment. They would be configured different. You see some of the airplanes, they don't have this bulkhead deflator, so there's a big space in here. But this one has a heater, so it was a passenger airplane, and that's where some of the navigators would sit, but every airplane was, was different in the configuration, and you'd have an astrodome right above the camera. This airplane doesn't have it anymore, but they would, do celestial navigation.
Right.
And during the tour, how long and how high will the plane fly during the tour?
Well, we have 2 tours, so we've got the 30-minute tour, or we've got the 1-hour tour, and we typically go up to about 8,000 feet or so, and that gives a really close look to the mountains, and we're above the snow line, and you can look down on the glaciers. It's really, really pretty.
So am I looking at the heater over here?
The heater would be behind that compartment, just enclosed inside that compartment.
Yeah.
Is it still the same as it would have been, or
It is. Yep,
It is.
Yep. It's,
and it functions?
it is. It functions. Yep. It's a 200,000 BTU Janitrol heater. It burns about 5 gallons of 100 low lead an hour.
Yeah.
So
And
that
like,
comes from the same tanks that you
It
used
does.
to-
Yeah. It draws off of the right main
main.
tank.
And like other things in this airplane, the heater also is underneath. It's governed by an inspection program, so you have to take it out every so often, 1,000 hours of runtime. Have to send it in, and then they inspect the burner cans and make sure everything is good, and then you put it back together and put it back in the airplane.
Yeah, a lot of the freighters that you would see had a completely different heater setup on them. At that, being a freighter, they'd only be concerned with heating the cockpit, so they would actually, just like your Cessna, pull the heat off of the exhaust manifolds, and there was ducting that ran that heat all the way in the wings up through into the cockpit.
Yeah, and if you go even further back in time, the first DC-3s had a steam-powered, like a baseboard heating system almost.
Yeah.
But of course, it would freeze up at high altitudes, and it was not very reliable. And it was heavy too, because you're carrying a bunch of water with you. So this is actually a really good system. Works very well.
Is it reliable? I've heard they can be.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's we've got ground blowers that will if you're on the ground you can turn it on. They're very loud. But yeah, it's nice. It makes good heat. I mean, to this day, pilots like which ones the Navajos use this kind of heaters. And
Janitrol, south wind heaters, same concept.
Yeah.
Still being used on a lot of the light.
The
twins.
DC-6s use them in the wings to heat the wings up. I mean, they're used all over the place. They're pretty common.
So you mentioned the compartment for the navigator. What did you call it? The celestial
Dome.
celestial dome. Can you talk a little bit about what that navigation was like or would have been like?
Yeah, so essentially it was a domed piece of glass that was directly above the cockpit, and it would just give the navigator a 360-degree view of the sky, and you would sit up there with a sextant and use whatever heavenly body was there at the time, stars, moon, sun, and during a lot of the oceanic crossings, the ground-based navigation was pretty rudimentary back then and didn't reach very far offshore. So there was a lot of time in between that there was no ground-based navigation. And aside from a compass, one of your best indicators of position was celestial navigation. So they really had to have it together.
What did you do when there was a cloud layer above you?
Piloted.
They'd have different methods of being able to calculate for wind drift, and at that point in time you're calculating for wind drift, and you have your compass and doing the best you can to point it in the right direction.
Yeah, that was, back during World War II, these airplanes were used in all over the world, and the one theater in Burma, China. They used to fly over the mountains in the clouds with maybe an ADF, and then they flew just looking at the compass for an hour or two, and if they got lucky, they picked up another, ADF and NEB, and they would, hone in on that. So
times
different kind of flying. Today's GPS makes flying pretty easy.
Yeah,
different kind of flying, different kind of pilots.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't we hop out of the cockpit and
All
make
right,
our way back?
Now we'll follow you.
Yeah. Guys, why don't we walk back this way and I'll show you.
All right.
So, Nico, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're looking at here?
Yeah, this is the galley of the airplane. It's kind of dark in here, but we got a little coffee pot, like a little hot pot. This is where the flight attendants would, store all their stuff. This is actually the flight attendant seat. It's very small, and they would be wedged behind the door, behind the air stair door. And this is where the cargo compartment is located at, and we do have a bathroom which is in here. And yeah, so the bathrooms will be able to use in flight. So, for an hour flight, it's a pretty long flight. So we're pretty proud of having functioning bathrooms.
Yeah. Can we see the cargo compartment?
Yeah, there's a little bit of stuff in there. So
yeah. Is that alright?
Oh yeah.
Shows us the capacity.
Yes.
Yeah,
It functions as storage too.
It's a storage closet currently.
Oh, it's like my pickup truck. Yeah, I understand.
That's why whiteboards go for great ideas.
So the difference between this, the passenger, and the cargo, obviously we don't have the seats. Or the galley, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then, like you can tell, there's a couple of easy ways. Of course, this door is very small. The other door is a lot bigger and opens up. This one is just an airstay door. The floor in this airplane goes straight down all the way. The freighter has a shelf, so it comes down and then levels off, so you can put pallets in with a forklift and you can set them down. You couldn't do it in this airplane. That's really when you want to see if because some of the freighters have been converted to passenger airplanes, but they never convert the floor. So when you walk in an airplane, you can tell which one was a freighter from its birth and which one was a passenger airplane from birth.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. This is a wonderful experience, and it's really exciting what you're doing. So just I want to do one more plug for you here. If you guys are just now tuning in, we're with Golden Era Aviation. This is Nico. I've got TJ back there behind the camera.
We've got one more question.
Oh, we do? Okay, we'll get to that question in just a second. And they are starting up a tour operation this summer. So now is your chance. We're raffling off one of their flights. It's a private 1-hour flight over the Glacier back that way. But if you're not lucky, you don't win that one. That's okay. You can purchase a seat this summer and have that experience.
Yeah,
so,
we're online and we're at the trade show. You'll see us there. We'll have a booth at the trade show and can't wait.
Offering rides at the trade show, right?
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
right now.
Yep.
You could purchase a ride during the Great Alaska Aviation Gathering,
Yep, we'll be
May
flying.
7th and 8th.
Yep, we'll be flying our other aircraft there. 400 Mike Foxtrot will be giving rides at the trade show with that, and and throughout the summer as well. We'll be focusing mainly on our flight tours that we have scheduled, but also we're open for group events. So if you have something that you're interested in, you want to get a group of people up, if you company events. We actually last summer we did an in-flight wedding. We did a skydive wedding. We have some autonomy here, and we're willing to if you have an idea, pitch it to us, and that's what this is all about. If you want to have a group of people go up, have an experience, and that's why we're here and using these types of airplanes to be able to do that. So keep this. It's your ideas, keep them alive just the same. So feel free to throw them at us.
And is this original lavatory in this DC-3?
Yes, it is. But this one is an original lavatory. It's currently under restoration. So, but yeah, this airplane was a passenger airplane for many years, and then one claim to fame is actually Grace Kelly flew in this airplane. So yeah, she did.
That's so cool.
It's pretty cool. This airplane is on the historic places of Illinois. It has an official registry, and it's pretty cool. And there you can read the history of the airplane.
do you guys know what it's going to cost during the trade show? For those tickets yet, or is that to be?
We're kind of developing what that's going to look like.
Okay.
We've been talking to everybody there at the trade show to figure out how the logistics of doing those flights at the trade show are going to work.
Okay.
So they'll likely be 20-30 minute flights there throughout the day, and seeing what the logistics like as we work through that. So we'll have some pricing up for that as we get closer to the event.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, guys, last chance here. If you have other questions, this is your moment.
Tell us one more time how we could buy tickets.
One more time where you can buy your tickets. So the easiest way is to give us a phone call. We are in the office from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Alaska time. That phone number is 907-245-1251. The other option you have are kiosks. They are staged throughout the state. We have one in Fairbanks at East Ramp Pizza. That's at the airport itself. We've got Merrill Field has Northern Lights Avionics. They've got a kiosk inside. And then, let's see, we've got one more, which is, help me out, Abby.
Aircraft Spruce.
Aircraft Spruce, thank you, in Wasilla near Palmer Airport.
Do you have a website where I can find that?
We sure do. So the website you want to go to is www.alaskaairmen.org. You're going to put a backslash and you're going to type in Raffle. It'll take you right there, all that information. Okay, any last questions for the audience?
All right.
All right, well, why don't we head on out?
All right, let me get the door. Try not to fall in the ice. Where's the other airplane? I don't know. That's the other airplane. Should we walk around?
Okay. All right, guys, we're just going to take a couple of minutes here, walk around their other DC-3, wait for any other questions, and we'll call it an evening. So, are there anything interesting you want to point out about the outside of the aircraft?
Well, it's a pretty much a straight standard DC-3. It's got the radar nose, which is a bit pointier than the one on 763 Alpha. This one is a right-powered one, so it has a 9-cylinder radial engine, like TJ was saying earlier, and you can see the cowling is a lot narrower because it's a single row of cylinders versus 2 rows of cylinders.
Okay.
But the cylinders are bigger. Yeah, you can see the scoop on top. That's the heater scoop. It's that little thing that's sticking out. And this has single-piece windshields, which are bigger. Yeah, but other than that, they're pretty much
small differences, but I mean the bones are the same.
Which one do you prefer to fly?
That is not a fair question.
Did you guys have
We love
one of
them
these
both.
at the Great Alaska Aviation Gathering last year?
Yeah, both of them were here. Yep.
Sweet.
And you were with Wasilla too, right?
And we actually flew this airplane at Wings Over Wasilla Air Show. Did a couple different flight demonstrations the 2 days of the air show there. We did a flyby at Lake Hood for the museum.
Yep.
And so yeah, we did some flying with this airplane last year, a few different and ran a few different tours last year as well, doing the initial tours. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
No more questions.
All right.
I'm just going to do a walk around here.
All right.
And
Should we wave goodbye?
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys.
Buy
Later.
tickets.
We'll see you at the trade show. We'll see you in the air.